From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen, and back on a Monday on this June the 5th. It's 2017, and a lot has happened over the weekend, as you most likely have heard, unless you live under a rock. Another terrorism attack there in the UK. We're going to be talking about that and something that we need to know and the heroics that took place to be able to save even more people. Unfortunately, people lost their lives, but there are those that are brave, and we'll talk about those. But another shooting in Orlando. It doesn't look like it was terrorism, but we're going to hear from the sheriff. It's Sheriff Dunnings from Orange County, just a little up the road from where I do this broadcast.
Some people have run away.
Okay, that's a sign in London there. This is Sheriff Dunning with a press conference just a little bit. There was some sounds from London, actually, when all that riffraff was going on here. Close, but Sheriff Dunnings.
It's a sad day for us here once again in Orange County. I'm going to share some details about a tragedy that occurred this morning at the Fiamma Incorporated business that you see just behind me. Our hearts and prayers go out to the families of the victims this morning. I will share more detail about what has occurred. You will be hearing from myself as well as Mayor Jacobs in just a moment. Then she will be followed by a representative from the FBI and the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the fire chief who responded to this emergency this morning. But let me just share some details with you. At about 8:03 a.m. this morning, we received a 911 emergency call into our communications center about an active shooter situation here at the Fiamma Incorporated business. This is a worldwide business that primarily provides accessories for RVs. At about 8:45 a.m. this morning, we were dispatched here to this call. Deputies arrived on scene just 2 minutes later to the active shooter call for service. Once they arrived here, they found multiple individuals that had been shot. 3 male victims were deceased at that time. 1 female victim was deceased. A 5th person, a male, was transported to the Orlando Regional Medical Center where he subsequently died as a result of his injuries. There were 7 survivors, individuals who were inside this business who are being interviewed presently by detectives from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. We have a 45-year-old subject who is deceased inside as a result of his own means. The individual was armed with a handgun and a knife this morning. There's no indication that he used a knife on any of the victims, but shot 5 innocent people this morning and then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. The individual in question is a former employee of this business. He was fired sometime in April of this year. So he was a disgruntled employee that came back to this business this morning. In terms of our history of this business, we have very few records of any significance here. However, about 3 years ago, in June of 2014, we did respond to this business in which the subject who is responsible for the deaths this morning was the subject of a workplace violence incident in which he allegedly battered another employee here in the business. There were no charges actually of that time. In terms of this subject, this 45-year-old subject, when we look into his criminal history, what we have found is that he has a criminal history, minor in nature. Charges such as possession of marijuana, DUI, and misdemeanor battery. At this time, we have no indication that this subject is a member of any subversive type organization. We have no indication that this subject is a participant in any type of terror organization. What this is at this point is likely a workplace violence incident. We will get more into the details of the investigation as it unfolds.
Well, there you go. Sheriff Dunnings, Orange County Sheriff there in Orlando. He terrorized the workplace in a form of terrorism, actually. It wasn't ISIS, but somebody that decided that they were going to go in and they were going to show them. And 5 people, including himself, lost their lives. Very unfortunate these days with people with stress and with beefs. It's just a lot of unstable people out there in the world today. I just say love your loved ones, hug them, don't leave unless you do, and let them know you care about them. You just don't know, folks. You don't know what's on people's minds today and what people are thinking. A lot of people need to be on medication, and they're not on it. And they get upset, and what stress does to some people, especially if you're a loose cannon. No telling what somebody can do. I mean, there's people that know that they're hotheads, and they'll even say they're like David Banner when they get upset. They turn into the Hulk, and you don't even know them. You might have a spouse that's that way. You might be that way yourself, where you just know, yourself. Something snaps. You ever watch that show on television, Snapped? Or Women Snap? Well, guys do it. Women snap. You're at that breaking point where you've had enough. And you know what? I'm going to go in like Rambo, strapped, and I'm not joking about it. I'm not laughing. It's not a laughing matter, but it's a reality. Unfortunately, people are stressed out, trying to make a living, and you're fired, and you're upset, and, you felt like you were fired unjustly. We have no idea. I mean, the more details are going to be surfacing. Apparently, he's been a hothead. He's had it out for other people. But I'm sure we'll get a full rundown, and there'll be other people that'll come forward talking about this guy and what he did and all that stuff. But the unfortunate thing is that 5 people, innocent people, lost their lives. He was a coward, took his own life, and now he can't be tried for these. And it's unfortunate because now we have all these families now that don't have their loved one, and that's sad. And it's one of those things where you never expect that. You never expect to get a phone call and say they got shot, killed from an idiot that was disgruntled, went into the workplace, secretaries and janitors and workers. And I have no idea if there was a janitor or a secretary, but people that worked there, that had positions, that had families. It just breaks your heart. And then this weekend, I go away to Dallas, and I don't know what it is. It always is a breaking news story, a big one. There's always news, but a big story every time I leave. There's always something. I just had this feeling I was going to get on this plane, and there was going to be this big deal. And again, terrorism in London. And Trump tweeted, obviously, this morning, really upset about the mayor, because he is a PC, politically correct mayor. And the reason I think he's very PC is because he himself is Muslim, and like Barack Obama, doesn't want to call them out because of where it's coming from. I don't think Christians would be very happy, if they were like Christian fundamentalists or something like that. But if it was they that were doing it, you'd have to call it for what it is. It's coming from them. They're getting radicalized with the religion. I'm sure it doesn't make loving Muslims that want peace-loving Muslims that love America or love freedom and would never imagine hurting or killing another innocent individual, no matter what the Quran said. Just a few of my thoughts here. Anyway, the militant attack in London killed 7 people. Quoted London Mayor Sadiq Khan telling Britons not to be alarmed at what happened. Of course, Trump was critical response to the this incident. And 48 were wounded. So you say, oh, it wasn't a lot. Well, 7 dead, 48 wounded. Knife attacks, just stabbing in the back, stabbing in the gut, stabbing in the side. Londoners have reason to be alarmed because this continues to happen. This is an increasing threat. And when you pussyfoot around a particular subject, that's what you're doing. And this is what this guy is doing. I think Donald Trump is right on it. But it's a wake-up call, once again, for America. Because if we continue to be politically correct and we allow these activist judges to sit down there and water down this travel ban that Donald Trump is proposing, then it's going to allow these particular types to be able to get away with these very same things, or be able to make it easier for them to accomplish what they're trying to do. So Donald Trump weighing in, I think, is very, very smart about this. And, of course, NBC just praising the London mayor and, the left praising them. Oh, he's just acting heroically and bravely and all this other stuff, trying to keep his country, his city together. No, he's not. He's not. So what did Donald Trump say? Okay, here we go. We must stop being politically correct and get down to the business of security for our people. If we don't get smart, it will only get worse. And then he goes on, he says, do you notice we are not having a gun debate right now? That's because they use knives and a truck, which is very, very true. Which leads me to the other side of things, as the London police officers, most of them on the streets in London, if you did not know this, do not have guns. Did you realize that? Yes, the British have very strict gun laws, and an unnamed police officer suffered severe injuries to his head, face, and leg while he engaged the terrorist. He ran right towards him, not with a gun. Can you imagine that, being a police officer in the age that we live? What do they have, batons and mace and handcuffs? That's what London police have, about 90% of them. No kidding. What was guns that ultimately killed all 3 of these terrorists? But we have to have guns, folks. I mentioned that I just came back from Texas. You know something about Texas? They have open carry laws. Okay? You can strap one right to you wherever you want to do it. Can you imagine ISIS trying to attack Texas with knives? Even with guns. But in London, Londoners are defenseless. Yes, knives kill. They do a lot of damage. And how scary. People just, the bridge, walking, relaxing in cafes, walking, relaxing, just sitting, minding their own business, and getting stabbed to death, bludgeoned to death. And in the name of religion. What religion? Muslim religion. It was for Allah. This one's for Allah. Let me stab you right in the kidney. Let me stab you in the heart and the lungs. Let me tear you up. This is crazy, folks. This is crazy. I mean, and really to biblical proportions. You say, oh, you're making a big deal out of it. No, really. This stuff is just too biblical to not go there. Because it really is. You read the Revelation, you read the Bible, it says this stuff is going to happen. And folks, if we do not crack down on this and take back our country from these type of people that have this ideology that's a cancer, and allow them to do this and propagate this crap, folks, I still want to believe that we have